Most people think burnout recovery requires a complete life overhaul, but it doesn't. Small habits can create the biggest transformation. And you might be skeptical, but I invite you to stick around because I have seen this time and again. Small habits create transformation and sustainability. And that is how you start to recover from burnout. And that's why I've put together the Stress to Peace guide that walks you through some of these strategies. These are the strategies that not only I have used for my own recovery journey, but I have walked hundreds of clients through to get the transformation started, to feel that relief quickly. Because while it can take months or longer to truly recover from burnout, if you're in severe burnout, which is where I was, you can start to feel relief in as little as 2 weeks. And I will share some of those stories. But I want to start with, why did I create this guide? Why do I believe small habits create lasting transformation and sustainability? And that's because if you haven't watched the first couple of videos, I share more about my story and why I started on this journey and why it's so important for you to understand where I've come from. And those are in the first couple of videos. But that's because when burnout destroyed my physical health, remember that was from what my doctor said in the first video. I literally could not walk 200 feet without pain. I could not stand in one place for more than 10 minutes. But when I started to use these same strategies I offer in the Stress to Peace guide, I started to recover. And within months, I was starting to walk a mile. Today, I can walk 2 miles. I can stand for an extended amount of time without a lot of pain because I have reversed the impact burnout took on my physical health because that was important. But that did not come from overhauling my life. That came from small habits that I prioritized. And so let's talk about what some of those are, because you'll find these in the Stress to Peace guide. And the first one that is the most important is sleep. A lot of people will say, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Well, I'm going to challenge that and say, you're going to hit that point sooner in life than you plan if you're not protecting your sleep. Because you see, when you sleep and you are truly getting the rest your body needs, your physical body recovers, but mentally, your brain detoxes and repairs. Your body repairs. And that's why for most people, one day can be really stressful, but they can wake up the next day, feel energized, and feel like they're starting the day fresh. That's why, because the brain and the body detoxed and repaired from the effects of the day before. It is so important, and it is the one thing that I will stand my ground on, and that is protect your sleep. Now, I'm not telling everybody to sleep for 8 hours because the number of hours of sleep is different per person, but I believe in doing things to improve that quality sleep so your mind and your body can repair. Movement and walking are so important, right? Many of us grew up, especially if you were an athlete, grew up that you have to work out for these extended periods of time. An hour-long workout, whether that's lifting weights, running, practicing your sport, that's what exercise and movement is. We think of it as an hour, but it is not, right? I went from walking less than 200 feet to 2 miles because I started small. I started with what's doable, and I pushed my body just slightly past its endpoint to rebuild that stamina and that strength. But walking is so important to your body. When we walk, we process and we release that cortisol, and we release the stress that's been going on, and our brain can kind of repair a little bit. It can clear out what you've been working on so you can go back in fresh. Boundaries. I dig into boundaries a lot with clients because without boundaries, We don't teach people how to treat us, right? Boundaries teach people how to treat us. And they also are for ourselves. Because what I have learned is that the first person to cross the boundary is yourself. I did it all the time. And so boundaries are important. We also have to look at how we are breathing. And a lot of people have said, Deidre, are you serious? Yes, because here's what I want you to pay attention to as you're going through about your day today and tomorrow. When you feel anxious, when something comes up, when the phone rings, I want you to pay attention to what happens to your breathing. Because 95% of the time, what I have seen in clients that I help, they hold their breath, right? So you get anxious, you hold your breath. The phone rings, especially if you're a healthcare worker or crisis worker. You're like, now what? When you hold your breath, you instantly increase your stress, meaning you don't sit at your baseline anymore. You sit higher. And then you're functioning up here. So you react quicker to the next thing and the next thing, right? And we're not supposed to hold our breath. We're supposed to breathe and slow our breath down and breathe deeply. And that is one of the things that helps us regulate our stress response. And it's these small changes that compound that make the biggest impact. And so when I say I've had a lot of clients who have come back and said, oh, wow, that was helpful. What I mean by that is whether we're talking about breathing exercises to slow that stress response, or we're talking about ways to protect your sleep and improve that quality sleep. What I have had time and time again, clients would come in and go, are you sure that's going to work? They're very skeptical. They don't try it. And we talk about it session after session. And then what happens is I go, just try it for 2 weeks. And that is why it's called the Stress to Peace in Just 2 Weeks guide. Because if you do anything, you try it for 2 weeks, you will notice a difference. And what has happened is I've had client after client come back after 2 weeks and go, wow, I slept and I have energy to do things. Yep. So I don't say that to praise myself. I say that to say, we don't need an elaborate plan, which is what we often look for. We need small changes that feel doable, that even if you're questioning, do they work? Give them a try, right? See how it works. And so what happens when somebody who's burnt out fails at big changes, right? The reason we can't do these life overhauls when you're burnt out or chronically stressed is because you don't have the bandwidth. Physically, you don't have the bandwidth. Emotionally and mentally, you're overwhelmed. So big changes feel like, oh my gosh, I can't even focus to do it. And often that all or nothing thinking tends to show up. And that's why big plans fail, because it feels like too much, right? It is overload. But there is benefits and reasons or science behind these small wins. And that's because small wins give you momentum, right? Momentum keeps us moving. So you get one small win, you get motivated and excited to add the next thing so you can have more wins. And that momentum keeps building, right? And these small wins are also small wins that you can sustain, because once you've started doing them for 2 weeks and you notice and you feel the difference, you keep going. You keep that in there and you keep being intentional, so that becomes a new habit in your routine. These small wins also help to change the neural pathways in your brain so that you're not functioning in that chronic stress mentality, but you're getting back to how you're supposed to function when you're feeling energized and healthy. The other thing that happens is your confidence starts to build, right? Because when you get one small win and you're like, oh, that feels so good. I know I can do this now. You have the confidence, you're going to keep going. And so you see these 3 small habits that we're going to talk about, or that you will get in the Stress to Peace guide. They compound, right? So When you prioritize quality sleep and you do the things you need to improve that, and you stop holding your breath when the phone rings, and you add in these smaller habits throughout the day, you start to create the sustainable performance that you can do daily, right? And you do that through the SPARK method that I've talked about before. But the part of the SPARK method I want to focus on today is the R. Because if you're at this point with me and you're like, I'm ready to implement the tips in the Stress to Peace guide, then you already know what the problem is. You've already pinpointed where the root cause is, and you're starting to make those activated changes that you need to. And now it's time to reinforce those systems, right? And so when you continue to move forward with protecting your sleep, you're reinforcing that new system that I don't care what's going on in life. I am giving my brain and my body what it needs to recover and repair. And so if you are ready to reinforce those healthy systems and really get back to thriving in the way you want your life to look like, I invite you to download the Stress to Peace guide that's linked below, because you can have success without self-sacrifice. And stick around, because in the next video, we're going to talk about how sustainable leaders protect their energy to have that success without self-sacrifice.